Kalle Sauerland, Eddie Hearn. We've just seen Filip Hrgovic do what Filip Hrgovic does. Kalle Sauerland, start with yourself. What did you think of the performance?
I think at the end of the day, we had to get out, didn't he, tonight? It was a night to get him out. He's obviously, the IBF is very strict in their rules, and he's sort of been the victim of that strictness, which is a great thing for boxing, but it can on occasion. We've gone through the top 15, every single one, in writing. It's not promoter talk, it's out there. These people have all declined, and we were stuck, so we've got this fight in between them, luckily, and managed to pull that off, and now we're back to the drawing board Monday, isn't it? It's back to number one, Mr. Martin, and we'll see who wants it.
Eddie, it turns to yourself. What do you think of Filip's performance tonight?
It's a good performance. Look, the guy was levels and levels below him, but he came undefeated. He had a good go for the first couple of rounds, and then run out of steam, run out of ability, and didn't really fancy it anymore because he was getting hit by a world-class heavyweight. But it did the job for Filip Hrgovic, which was to get him out. Like Kalle said, it's been really frustrating because we've gone down that whole list, and when you write to someone and ask them if they want to fight Filip Hrgovic, let's just remember what's on the line here is to become the mandatory to Anthony Joshua. It's basically like the golden ticket, the Willy Wonka ticket in boxing. Yet still, no one in that top 15 wanted to fight Filip Hrgovic. So that's really frustrating. And then you get to a stage where Filip Hrgovic is going, guys, I know you're doing your job, but any chance of fighting? Kalle and Jelko done a great job putting this together in 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. It was absolutely mental, to be honest with you. I've never experienced anything.
I remember the first time I called Ed. I was on summer vacation with the family, and I got the call and called Ed. I said, we got this mad idea, wasn't it, to go to Austria in a football stadium in 2.5-3 weeks' time. And we just said, yeah, let's just do it, didn't we? And I went off and came here.
Beautiful place, by the way.
Yeah, lovely place.
Unbelievable. But it was an experience, but it did exactly what we needed to do tonight. Some good fights. Got a lot of our talent out. Yeah. Kalle got a lot of his talent out from Wasserman. We got Filip active again. He must fight this year, and he will fight this year, and he's ready. The only thing we've got to be careful of in Filip is that he doesn't waste his opportunity in his prime, which is basically now.
I do want to come to the other talent on the card, of course, but before I do, you mentioned that name, Anthony Joshua. What kind of fight would that be? Would that be what you class a mega fight?
Yeah, it would. And I said to Kalle earlier, by the way, anyone that thinks that Anthony won't fight these guys is mad. I think he's proved time and time again.
He's doing that with Ruiz now.
And he has another one coming up. He'll fight all these guys. He rates Filip Hrgovic. He would love to fight him. But like I said, that fight is for the mandatory for AJ. So yeah, we know you've got the Fury fight, but you're probably a year away if you win that fight from fighting Anthony Joshua. So it's the golden ticket. But for Filip, I really feel like he needs to fight those top guys now. I really hope not just that someone accepts from the top 15, that one of the top guys, whether it's Charles Martin, whether it's Luis Ortiz, whether it's Andy Ruiz, these guys, they're the fights I want to see Filip in, because we can sit here and say he's this, he's that, but till he gets in the deep end, we won't know. But we don't want to leave it too long, because that's what can damage someone, actually, is if they become stale. So it's not any fault of his own, it's not even our fault, but people have got to step up, and we've got to make them step up. That's our job now.
And just on that, a lot of people saying, why you've got to do this, do that to make the fight. Listen, we won a purse bid. Yeah? We went out and won a purse bid with Michael Hunter, and Michael Hunter was sent a contract after weeks and weeks of negotiation, went to a purse bid. The numbers were out there. We won the purse bid, sent the contracts out. He waited till the last day of the contracts to be signed, was 2 weeks after the IBF purse bids. And on the last day, the last physically possible day, he pulled out. And it was almost a case of having to undersell him, calling promoters up, saying, look, he hasn't been tested yet. It's this weird situation. It was bizarre, and we're going to have to go through that again now. I'm hoping that a lot of those guys, by the way, who turned down that Willy Wonka ticket, which isn't just a world championship, everyone knows it's a big payday to fight Anthony Joshua. It's talking about money, fame, the whole thing, the whole ticket in one. And we go back now to that list, and same what Ed said. I think you just hope that one of the top guys, but there's some deep.
By the way, a lot of those guys who turn them down haven't fought.
So
they say, I've got this plan, I've got this plan, and they've not fought.
Yeah, so a lot of them have said. I remember we're not going to name names though, because we've got to talk to them again now. But a lot of them said, "Oh no, we got this fight coming up, that fight coming up." But all those fights didn't happen. Michael Hunter, by the way, he went off and fought on an undercard somewhere for $20,000. You know, so a lot of those people look at that again now, I think, and think, right, well, it's worth to roll the dice, and it is worth to roll the dice. It's heavyweight boxing, you know.
I don't want to put names in either of your mouths, but we did an interview with Filip a couple of weeks ago before this fight, and he said, "I'll win this fight. It's Martin Bakole next." Is that a name that interests either of you?
Well, he's top 15, but he's a little bit outside of the normal number. But if it goes down that far and a deal could be made, he's an option. I think there's a lot of fighters before him that would be a bigger fight and a better fight for Filip Hrgovic. But if Bakole steps up, it's not a problem either. You've got Zhilei Zhang. I think he's 11 or 12. You know, yeah. I mean, he's up for the fight. He's told us today. But before that, well before that, you know, you got Andy Ruiz, you got Charles Martin, you got Luis Ortiz, you got Joseph Parker. You've got, I mean, there's so many other fighters that could be taking that fight. And I think the key is they all thought, I've got this fight, that fight. None of them are box-ins. So if you're Luis Ortiz particularly, who no one really wants to fight, why not step up and take a shot at Filip Hrgovic? It's a great fight.
Where do you think we see that fight? Do you think we see a fight like a Luis Ortiz in Europe, or is that America?
It very much depends on the opponent. I mean, if it's someone like Zhang Bang would be in China probably.
Yeah.
Or
Ortiz is a decent name in America. I mean, that's a fight.
Cody could be one of the UK.
Yeah.
So it depends on the opponent.
Just moving on then, I just want to talk about the rest of the card. We'll start with the Wasserman guys. What did you think of the performances of Martin Farouk, Abbas Barao, Oliver Zaran out there tonight?
I think Zaran for me is the best prospect out of Denmark in many years. It was great to see Kessler back at the ring. I got goosebumps when I saw him walk up to the ring. You know, it was taking me back.
Nice guy. I only said thank you to 400 times.
Yes.
Lovely guy.
The Danes are very polite, and he's a real talent. You know, switches it, and it looks a real good future. Finally, another Kessler potentially in the pipeline there. Farouk, you know, big star in Holland already. It was a learning fight. You know, we've been out the ring a while, and you know that's always a good fight for him. And Abbas, you know, with Adam Booth, he's learning. You know, he had that very tough fight with Kulkai last year, that very level pegging eliminator, which would love to do a rematch. I thought he got the wrong end of a decision there, but you know, we did step up. It's his 10th fight, you know, in the world title eliminator. But sometimes you got to roll the dice, and sometimes come up a bit short. But you know, it was a very nice evening.
Should mention Dusan Velicic as well. Opened the card, 2 fighters, first round knockout.
And by the way, when I walked in, I said to my matchmaker Tom, I said, "What's the opponent like?" He said, "Oh, he always goes rounds." And 30 seconds later, he was on the floor unconscious. So it was a fantastic performance by Dusan, young guy. He's Filip Hrgovic's main training partner, so he's learning from one of the best heavyweights out there. So it's been an interesting ride with him.
And Eddie, John Ryder, John Hedges. What did you make of their performances tonight?
Yeah, really good. John Hedges is a baby. You know, he's just turned 20 years old. Huge, 6'7" light heavyweight. I mean, looks like he's going to end up being a cruiserweight or heavyweight. Got a lot to learn, but now 3-0 and learning. And these are the kind of trips that you can learn an awful amount on. John Ryder needed to get rounds in, got the rounds in. You know, it's been since December since his last fight. And obviously he's got David Morrell and also Dimitri Bivol to look at. Needed to get out, get the rounds. And I'm really pleased Dalton Smith got 10 rounds. He's an exceptional talent. Still just a handful of fights. Said he felt a bit flat tonight, but I don't care. He got 10 good rounds against an opponent that didn't stop trying. These are the kind of trips and experiences where fighters can learn. And I said to Dalton, it's better to feel flat, you know, and get those rounds in an experience like this rather than in a big headline show in Sheffield. This is where he's going to learn for the championship experience. Dalton Smith is a future world champion, and really important on all these shows to get the talent out, get the roster out and keep them learning, make sure they can stay active in a very difficult market at the moment, still coming through the pandemic. And again, tomorrow night, live on DAZN in Barcelona, you get to see it again. Amy Timlin in a really big fight tomorrow, Cyrus Patterson out, Yusuf Kamari out as well, and a really big main event. So, perfect night, and on we go.
By the way, those away trips, when you talk about fighting for a world title, it's often you can't, it's not Domino's Pizza, you can't order the world title. You've often got to travel for that world title shot, and that's the benefit that Dalton Smith will have after tonight. Yeah, I was flat. Why was I flat? What did I do in that fight week when I travelled over? Was there something I could change next time? That's the experience you want to learn in these fights, you know, and that's very, very, very pleasing evening.
Gents, it's been a wonderful evening. Thanks both for your time.
Cheers, thank you.